All right, greetings. Thank you for tuning into our 3 o'clock update. I have a couple of things we want to share this afternoon. Myself, Scott Jonte, Deborah Jacobson, and then as we have been doing, we'll end with a prayer. You know the old saying, whatever can go wrong will go wrong? Well, for those of us getting ready for this at the very last minute as we were making our final preparations, the network went down, and so none of us were able to print what it was we were going to say. So we're all going to be operating off of our computers because we couldn't get it. And we lost most of the notes we were working on. So if we're a little disorganized today, this time we have an excuse. But again, greetings and thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for your help today and into the future by staying in your apartments as much as possible. I also want to thank you for the kind words of support and concern for all of us. I want you to know everyone that's here is stretched and we're working hard, but we're all doing fine. And it's a privilege to be here to be able to serve you. And that comes from really everybody on staff. I also want you to know that the Richmond community has really stepped up and tried to help us as a team because we are low on critical medical personal protective equipment, and we have supplies coming, but it's not coming as quickly as we'd like or need. And so we have already received care packages from Medline, who has stepped up and expedited a shipment of critical supplies, as has Sheltering Arms Hospital sent over a care package of supplies. ACAC Athletic Club has offered us and delivered us with some materials, and others from the CCRC network, Leading Age Virginia. They put out a plea, and we are seeing some supplies move to us from those other CCRCs in our Richmond area and from the state of Virginia. It's a tricky situation because everybody needs those supplies because they have to anticipate that a case in their community is inevitable as well. So they are stepping up and really helping us, and for that we're all very very thankful. Our materials chief and team that's been helping us, Annette Branch, Tony Hepler, and others who've been securing supplies in a really challenging situation, have done a phenomenal job. We've also had a huge number of staff volunteer extra time to be here to help us with work at the gates, work in the temperature checking tents, and in any other capacity we needed their help. And they're all stretched thin, and they're continuing to be here to help. And we couldn't do this without that level of commitment and support. And Kathy Morton and Glenn and others have really worked to keep those positions filled up until now and into the future, and we're super thankful. Dining's also really stepped up, and I hope you've all experienced that, but they've had to create completely new processes on the fly and deliver it, and the team has done a phenomenal job. As I said this morning, all this and the rules around by which we're supposed to manage this disaster, if you will, are fluid, and it's changing quickly. We're starting to get a rhythm, and we're starting to figure out how this works, and so the rules or guidelines from VDH that we'll try to hold the community to are beginning to get more clear. And I realize I haven't been as clear as I could be, and we're having a hard time making sure everybody understands what it is we're saying or I'm saying. So we're continuing to adapt and improve how we communicate with you and the staff, and family members and board members and the community. These live briefings are available to watch later at the top of the hour on TV 971. There is a lot of material, and it's updated as we go through the days on the Touchdown community apps. We have a link on our website that is a link to the same information, as well as you can sign up to our blog and get emails with all this information, and then it's also on Facebook. So there are a lot of ways to get information, and we're trying to push it all out to you. For instructions on all of that, what I just said, it's all in the Tales that was hopefully delivered to you yesterday. We are also in the process of producing written summaries of what we cover in these briefings. And now that we've got a little bit more of a rhythm and we've figured out the process, we're going to begin to print those and make them available on all those channels that I just mentioned, Touchtown, those sorts of things. So look for that, and we'll make sure those are available. We do hope to have a more refined set of guidelines as we get a little further into this. Now, a few notes about quarantine before I turn it over to Scott and then Deborah. What I tried to convey this morning is that if you were at the Capitol Steps show last Monday on the 9th, you need to stay in self-quarantine until the morning of Tuesday, March 24th. I'm looking to make sure I said that right. Right? You were here Monday night. You have to stay in quarantine through Monday night and Tuesday morning. If you are well, you are out of that mandatory quarantine. Everyone on campus is in self-quarantine, and that means you need to stay to your apartment except necessary things like getting some exercise in the hall, stretching your legs, get outside and get some exercise, walk your dog, and do required things that you have to do here on campus. It doesn't mean socialize. It doesn't mean walk in groups. It doesn't mean hang out in any common spaces. It means stay in your apartments unless you're doing something. For those of you on mandatory 14-day quarantine, because you were at Capitol Steps or you've traveled, or you've not been well, you need to stay in your apartment. The only exception we're willing to make is if you need to walk your dog. Then you're free to take your dog to the nearest exit, let them out, let them do their business, go back to your apartment. It is really important. And it's really for your health and safety and the health and safety of the community, because this is not something we can mess around with. If you plan to go away for an extended period of time, to your river home or to family or out of state to be with family, you need to plan to stay away for the duration. If you choose to come back, if you go away for a period of time and you choose to come back, you're going to need to go into mandatory quarantine for 14 days as if you traveled. We now have this virus in really every major community in every county in the state for the better, or we will soon. So it's vital that you make that decision thoughtfully. Work with your social worker before you leave so we know where you are. If you are just returning from travel, you need to be in quarantine for 14 days, and you need to reach out. If you didn't know that, you need to reach out to your social worker, and we will work with you to make sure you get what you need in terms of support in your home, so that we'll bring to you what you need. The other thing we need to ask of you, and I need to insist, that you stay in your area on campus. And we've said this in the last 3 or 4 of the 2 or 3, whatever it was, of these briefings. It's important that if you live in the courtyard, you stay on the courtyard side of the campus, and if you're a West Side Tower, Garden and Glebe, stay over here. It's for your health and wellness. It's for us, and it's just important that we keep our communities small so we don't cross-pollinate too much. And then the last thing, which is a new request, and it's one we feel strongly about, is that you stay out of the lower level. And this is really because that's where staff are moving about. And staff are coming and going every day. And while we're temperature checking every single staff member and every single contractor and everybody who comes through, we really don't want to be commingling as much as we can help it. And that's for your safety, because we're the ones who do have to leave and come back, and we're the ones, as this 14-day quarantine winds down, and it is going to wind down quickly, we're the ones who are at risk for getting the virus, not you. And we're going to be the ones, we need to keep our distance from you to the degree we can and stay protected from you, or keep you protected from us. Because as this moves forward and the resident community becomes clear and well of the exposure, we're the risk pool, and we have to keep you safe. And so please stay out of the lower level, and we'll use that for staff to move through the campus, and you stay upstairs to do your business. That would be greatly appreciated, and it's really for everyone's health, but from our standpoint, it's to protect you, because at some point here pretty soon, staff are gonna be the risk pool. So again, thank you everybody for all your support and help. Please comply. I can't say that enough. It's really helpful if everybody just sits tight. We're well into this disaster, and so let's just get to the end of the quarantine period, make sure everybody's well, and then we'll figure out what the new normal is in the not too distant future, hopefully. So thank you again. I'm going to turn it over to Scott. He's going to talk to you about dining updates, and then it'll be Deborah Jacobson.
Outstanding. Thank you, John. Well, if there is a silver lining in all of this, we have elected to waive the necessity to wear neckties. So I think that is a silver lining for some of us who live by the corporate noose there. So there you have it. First of all, on behalf of all of us in dining, I want to say thank you for your patience. As John said, this is an evolving process as events have unfolded. We have done our very best to meet your needs. There's going to be some updates. We're going to cover a few dining revised offerings for you. And also I'm going to answer some questions about your billing, information regarding your billing. So first up, the number one question that most residents have is, have you the residents, been charged for the meals that you have received since the home meal delivery program has started? And the answer to that is no. No resident has been charged for any of the meals that we have delivered to your door since the unfolding of the events. The primary reason for this was things had happened very quickly. We decided that this was an emergency situation, and our primary goal was to feed you. That was the number one goal. With the programming issues that we had had, and as rapidly as things have changed, no resident has been charged for any of the meals that you have received during the home meal delivery program. However, this will change effective this Saturday, March 21st. What we have done is lower the price points, which I'll cover in just a second, and we have a couple of new processes to make sure that you can keep track of your billing for dining as we bring the meals to your table, or excuse me, to your room. First of all, breakfast will be $5, lunch will be $6, and dinner will be $8. Again, breakfast will be a $5 charge, lunch will be $6, and dinner will be $8. In addition to the reduced pricing, we are also introducing some additional services as we begin to elevate our dining offerings. So for example, at breakfast, during your breakfast meal, we're going to include a choice of hard-boiled or scrambled eggs. We're going to add a choice of breakfast meats, as well as an increased selection of the fresh fruits to choose from. In addition to the whole fruits, we're going to also offer a choice of a fruit cup and a banana. In addition to some of the elevations, we are going to make Sunday supper a full meal. That would be normally what we would offer, the sandwich selection at the end of the night in the promenade room. We're actually going to make this a full meal for the residents, which is an upgrade from our current meal format. Daily, we will also make sure that there is a NSA or no sugar added dessert available. In addition, we're going to begin offering the residents a chance to have small cans of soda as a beverage, cola, Diet Cola, and a ginger ale if you'd like. We're also introducing the opportunity for residents to make a selection on their side salad for dressings. This is something we've struggled with a little bit with the varieties that we offer. It was complicated, so we have figured out a way on the back end to make sure that we can deliver that for you. So when you call in and talk to those at the front desk in the promenade, let them know if you have a particular dressing choice. However, there are a couple reminders. Please remember this is a very complicated process. There are a lot of meals going out and a lot of moving parts to the process. If in the event we deliver a wrong product, we may not necessarily be able to exchange it for the correct one. So for example, many residents like skim milk or 1%. If we accidentally deliver 2%, may be difficult for us to get back around as we're approaching the 300 meal mark as I speak. So we may not necessarily be able to exchange that. However, if, for example, you ordered a vegetarian meal and we dropped off a meat meal or a type of chicken entree, we will change that as soon as possible. If that happens, please call back down to the promenade and speak to the host at the stand. In addition to this, part of the new process will be for us is when we deliver your meal, we're actually going to bring a ticket stapled to your meal bag or included into the meal. This ticket is just as if you were sitting in the restaurant. So if you were sitting there and we gave you the receipt that you would sign and we would take one and leave one with you, we will include one of those with each of your meals, and this will enable you to help keep track of your balances. Please keep in mind that what we're doing is very complicated. There are a lot of moving pieces, but I can assure you the entire dining management team and staff are working as hard as they can to make sure that your needs are being met. Chris is working as hard as he can to begin rolling out new and improved upgrades, which you will begin seeing probably the middle part of next week. And this is part and process of the fact that we are looking at trying to make our operation in the back of house that much more efficient. And lastly, your declining balance and rollover funds of your account. For those residents who purchased the $150 or $300 plan that would typically roll over at the end of the month, the accounting department will roll those funds over for you if you have any credits. And I'll repeat that. For those residents who purchased the $150 or $300 plan that would typically roll over at the end of the month, the accounting department will move those funds or roll those funds over for you if you have any funds available. If you have any questions, by all means, please call Kim Briggs at extension 6093. Again, thank you for your patience. We are working as fast as we can to respond to the crisis and to keep you engaged, keep you informed, and keep you fed. Next up is Deborah Jacobs.
Good afternoon. I'm going to try to address some of the most frequently asked questions in the last few days, so please bear with me if I do not address something that you would like us to address in a future live feed. First of all, I'd like to tell you that the FedEx and package delivery, there was some delays on some of the deliveries, so if you're missing something or something hasn't come, bear with us. We have straightened out the problem with the FedEx, and the delivery should start as early as today. U.S. mail, this is the #1 question. When you see Russell Gardner out, I would love for you to give him a virtual hug. Russell went to the post office despite all the phone calls that he had made and I had made and you as residents had made to the post office. And starting within the next 24 hours, we're hopeful that we will be able to see the mail start being delivered here to Westminster Canterbury. The post office had some confusion over how to handle a situation they've never been involved in before, and so they suspended our delivery. As I said before, it should start within 24 hours. There are some stipulations for the post-demand deliverer, and we are going to make sure that those things happen. If there's any change to this, I'll certainly let you know tomorrow when we do an update. Newspaper delivery. That has been one of the biggest compliments that we've received in the last 24 hours. Our transportation department, 3 of our transportation drivers have taken 3 hours for the last 2 days to deliver your papers. We're hoping that we'll be able to narrow that down a bit now that they're familiar with the building, but I know that you're very thankful to receive your newspaper. Now I'm going to clarify something about the quarantine as far as dog walking and being outside. For those of you, especially those of you that just received the news about being quarantined due to the Capitol Steps performance, we just need you to remember that quarantine means staying in your apartment until that time frame is over, which, as John said, will be Tuesday morning. This includes staying in your apartment for that whole time frame. There was some confusion there. The only exception to that is those folks that have dogs. We do need to let those four-legged animals out, and so those particular residents have been asked, take your dog out, come right back in, have no contact with anyone else. I hope that clarifies that. The pharmacy, the CVS, continues to work with you, the number 6245. You can pay for your prescriptions by phone, and CVS will deliver them to your door. We'll keep you updated if there's any changes to that. Grocery delivery is probably the second most frequently asked question. As of tomorrow, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Azalea parking lot, which is located right next to the greenhouse in the Azalea parking lot, there will be shuttles out there waiting for your families and friends to drop off groceries for your convenience. Bags should be limited, and it should be labeled with your name and your apartment number. Every 15 minutes, the drivers will take the groceries and deliver them to your door. We're just going to make sure that we are constant shuttle for those 2 hours. If you'd like to place orders for groceries that will be picked up by our transportation drivers on Monday through Friday, please call your order into 6263 or email transportationrequest@wcrichmond.org. We will charge your account, and we'll go grocery shopping for you and then deliver them to you. So you have 2 ways in order to get your groceries. A more recent question has been from the residents that live in the tower that do not have washers and dryers in their apartment. They are wondering about how they're supposed to get their clothes washed. For those that are not in quarantine, feel free to use your laundry rooms and take care of that. For those of you that are in quarantine, whether it be because of the performance on Monday a week ago, or because you've traveled recently and you live in the tower, if you contact the Resident Services Office, 6082, we will work with you and the housekeeping department to take care of that for you. The one thing I do ask of you, for those that are quarantined only until Tuesday morning, if you can wait and then be able to do it in your own laundry room, that would certainly help our housekeeping department. Transportation has been another concern. You know, who qualifies to go out? We're only going out for medical appointments, and that is only for medical appointments that are essential. What does that mean? It means those appointments that cannot be rescheduled, cannot be put off. If you call the transportation office at 6263, we certainly will help you with that. And if there's any way possible to reschedule those appointments until we're through this, that would be great. Again, we're all thinking about you. The resident services staff are available to you, and we will answer any question and anything that we have not covered today. Do as you did last time. Just call us and say, this is important. I'd like to hear about it. Again, you all take care. Next up is Logan to give us some good words here.
Good afternoon. I'm Logan Augustine, chaplain here at Westminster Canterbury. A programming note really quick. On Sundays, we will broadcast a sermon for every Sunday at 4 p.m. on TV 970. We'll share more details in an upcoming briefing through Touchtown and TV 971. Hear these words by authors Judith Garrison and Scott Shepard. Every being that lives grows. Each will grow despite harsh conditions and beautify its surroundings. Like a tundra bloom, the most striking and beautiful flower is the one that blossoms despite frigid and brutal conditions. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, you are a God who wants health, love, and community for all of your children. In this time of uncertainty and change, help us to find unique and creative ways to care for ourselves and for one another. we know that your Spirit is always working within us. Like the beautiful growing tundra bloom, may our spirits grow. May they be made more beautiful despite difficult conditions. Help us to be attentive to our spiritual lives. May this be a time where we can grow in our knowledge and love of you. May this be a time where we are reminded not to take for granted the love and care that is shared within this community at Westminster Canterbury. May we hear your word for us within the stillness and quiet in our apartments and homes. And may we hear your word for us within the busyness of phone calls, conferences, and difficult decisions. We thank you that through you, growth and beauty can come from the most difficult and darkest circumstances. We know that night is always followed by morning. All of this we pray in your name. Amen.